Sometimes they can't get that expertise, and that's where we come in. We do those operations for them to protect them on a 24/7 basis. I saw two big weaknesses with other businesses that were trying to do the same thing, outsource this security operations problem. The first problem is they weren't really plugging into everything a company would invest in. So maybe they would plug into a few things, but there's all this other stuff that they could be using to protect the customer. So the second is all those companies were services businesses. So they were using predominantly people power. And when you scale, you get big, and you're using people power, you have a scale quality problem. We saw an opportunity to do a technology first approach, build a platform, use that as the primary way to protect the customer. Still have people, they're still in there, but you don't need as many, and you can keep scale and quality going up together, and nobody in the market was doing it at that time.
And how do you balance privacy with effective cybersecurity?
When you think about privacy, there's sort of two constituencies. One is that company's customers, right? And then the other is the company's employees. In the domain of the company's employees, we really follow the rules of the road of the company. However they treat their employees from a privacy standpoint, whatever their rules are for monitoring their employees, we follow that playbook. And when it comes to the privacy of their customers, we stay away from that. We're really focused on the data just around security, not around user data, user information, et cetera. That's that company's business. And then of course, we operate in compliance with things like GDPR. So if we are dealing with a European customer, if they do have GDPR requests, since inception we've made sure that we can follow those rules of the road.
Everything that you learned in the military really motivated you to start Expel. Tell me about that story.
When I was in the military, that's actually how I got into the cybersecurity field. I actually did counterintelligence and law enforcement work, and because of my computer science background from college, they ended up putting me in a position to chase hackers in the 1990s, very early days for cybersecurity. And so I did that for a number of years. And then when it was time to leave the military, it was during the dot-com boom, and there was a lot of demand for my talent set because cybersecurity was new to the commercial arena. So I was able to go into tech companies at the time, the late 90s, early 2000s, gain a lot of practical hands-on expertise.
And tell me how you've seen the cybersecurity sector evolve throughout the years.
Back when I started, because I'm that old, just a firewall was a new thing, right?
Yeah.
So even just protecting your network was a new concept. And we've gone from that to protecting computer systems directly, to cloud, and now to AI. Like the differences today from the past are vast in terms of what you need to protect. The other thing that's changed is the sophistication of the threats and how prevalent they are.
So as technology is rapidly expanding and we're seeing more and more businesses implement AI, what sort of challenges are your customers facing in today's landscape?
Well, we tend to get a lot of questions about the newness of the technology, and it's very similar to me from when customers implement in cloud. We're getting a lot of very similar questions. Okay, if I have AI aspects to our product or infrastructure or business that we're trying to protect, same thing. If somebody's trying to attack it, if somebody's trying to abuse it, we'll also get questions around what's it going to look like in terms of how attackers utilize AI? How's that going to change the game in terms of the threat?
What are some major factors that impact the cybersecurity sector, and if any are happening specifically this year?
Increasingly, things that happen in the global scene, so think about foreign policy, conflict between nations, things like that, really impact the kinds of threats that companies see on a day-to-day basis. For example, Russia invaded Ukraine. We had a number of customers that had some Russian business interests, maybe working with joint ventures or something else with Russia directly, where they suddenly became highly concerned that they could become targets because they were beginning to sever their ties with those entities, which is fascinating if you think about it. It's like due to a land war in Europe, a commercial entity in the US, not affiliated with the government, not affiliated with the military, now needs to be worried about being attacked by a foreign nation state.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Mark.
My pleasure.